So-called journalists Matt Taibbi and Michael Shellenberger were appearing before a congressional committee because they've been breaching state secrets, publishing Twitter files, telling people about the relationship between the deep state and social media and how they're deliberately not publishing stories that are in public interest. Those so-called journalists. You'd almost think that the point of a journalist was to tell the truth to ordinary people and let people decide for them. Hold on, that is the role of a journalist! Hello there, you 6 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage to truth and freedom. Together we can create new narratives. Together we can change the world. Together we can create new systems. And people that tell you that's not possible, they want things to stay the same. Hit me up in the chat and the comments with any questions that you might have. And remember, turn on the subscription and notification bell because this algorithm is not your friend. Today we've got a fantastic story for you. It's about Michael Shellenberger and Matt Taibbi, great journalists, both who have been guests on our show over at Rumble, available every single day. Go check out the conversations with them. They've been appearing before Congress to discuss the Twitter files and their motivations. What's particularly interesting is to know how the Democrats, who are supposed to be the party of free speech, are attacking them the whole time. Oh, so you're a journalist, are you, sonny boy? Why are you doing this? Get a dollar bill, huh? The whole attitude towards them is terrible. I know Matt Taibbi and Michael Shellenberger. They're both really great people with integrity that really care about truth. I don't know what their broad political perspectives are. It's not really relevant. What I know they're interested in is telling the truth, investigating how power behaves, investigating the clandestine relationships between the state, in particular state agencies like the FBI and CIA with social media organizations, the potential that mainstream media and social media have been selectively censoring information in order to create particular political outcomes. Now, of course, the Republican Party are being more favorable to Taibbi and Shellenberger at the moment because it suits their narrative because they currently aren't in power. Just to let you know, I don't think either the Republican Party or the Democrat Party or the Conservative Party or the Labour Party or any of the two options in bipartisan politics are going to change your life significantly for the better. In fact, that's part of the point of our movement, to discuss that and the facts of that. Let's see how this story around the Twitter files, transparency, clarity, open-mindedness and great investigative journalism, and I know because I'm an investigative journalist myself, right? Watch the Rumble show to get that in joke. Let's see how it shows you how power actually operates and what interests are being served in congressional hearings like this one.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have called before you two witnesses who pose a direct threat to people who oppose them.
Bloody hell, a direct threat, like Matt Taibbi and Michael Shellenberger. Have you ever seen him? I mean, Matt Taibbi's like a person who's permanently stoned. Sounds like he's just finished Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. All right, I've just investigated. Michael Shellenberger is an absolute delight, talks only about integrity within journalism and the way that power operates. Of course they have to condemn them because when you think about it, this congressional hearing has got two options. One, take on board the content of these investigations. What did it reveal? Or two, here's an option, just criticize and smear and attack the people that bought you that content. Then you don't have to deal with the content. Why would they not want to deal with the content? Because it shows that power is corrupt, because it shows that they lobbied to censor certain information, that they've got a vested interest in suppressing certain stories, promoting other stories, and that they've been working in lockstep with social media companies in order to control the public narrative. Could it be that?
This isn't just a matter of what data was given to these so-called journalists before us now.
Matt Taibbi, you'll know by now, was offended by that because he is a journalist. I think he's won numerous prizes for journalism, has written many successful books, as he says in the congressional hearing, and is literally a journalist.
To these so-called journalists before us now. There are many legitimate questions.
Look at him sort of like, what the fuck is this, man?
Ranking Member Plaskett, I'm not a so-called journalist. What we found in the files was a sweeping effort to reverse that promise and use machine learning and other tools to turn the internet into an instrument of censorship and social control.
Yes, we're trying to do that. We want it to be an instrument of social control. Now, would you please get out of our way?
Mr. Taibbi, I want to ask about journalistic ethics and information sources. The Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics asserts that journalists should avoid political activities that can compromise integrity or credibility. Being a Republican witness today certainly casts a cloud over your objectivity.
No, it doesn't. They're participating in a necessary conversation about corruption, unbelievable corruption and deception at the heart of social media, which is a new space for controlling the public sphere. This is a war against free speech, is what this is. This is the war against independent journalism because for some time now, they've controlled mainstream media. There are inflections depending on your personal tastes. Maybe there are some more Republican-oriented media outlets and more liberally-oriented media spaces. But the fact is, is all media is funded in similar ways. There are only 6 organizations, I think, that own all mainstream media outlets. So social media has to be co-opted in the same way for the system to function in the way that it previously has done. And organizations like Substack, and indeed this one, pose a direct threat to centralized, establishment-controlled media spaces. That's why they're being attacked. That's why we're being attacked. Also, this person who's condemning them so enthusiastically and thirstily, let me tell you a fact or two about her. This is from 2016 in The Guardian. The chair of the Democratic National Committee, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, has announced her resignation on the eve of the party's convention. Why, Debbie? Hopefully she'll get back into politics and be all high-minded and haughty with some great journalists. She's been forced to step aside after a leak of internal DNC emails showed officials actively favouring Hillary Clinton during the presidential primary and plotting against Clinton's rival, Bernie Sanders. All they were doing is plotting and disrupting democracy. She's talking to Matt Taibbi and Shellenberger as if they've been involved in the Guy Fawkes gunpowder plot. You guys, you got some nerve sitting there, haven't you? I have to take time off from corrupting democratic elections to stop Bernie Sanders ever getting into power because you saw how he attacked potential financial interests. We got to make sure that democracy always leads to someone called something Clinton. You can choose the first bit of anyone's name as long as the second bit is Clinton. God bless America. Or to give it its full name, America Clinton.
But a deeper concern that I have relates to the ethics of how journalists receive and present certain information.
They can't talk about ethics sat there in that citadel of corruption, of lobbying, of congressional bias, of owning stocks and shares in companies that you're supposed to regulate. How can they? They've lost the right to even talk about that stuff at this point.
Journalists should avoid accepting spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion. Would you agree with that?
Congresswoman, I've done probably a dozen stories involving whistleblowers. Every reported story that I've ever done across 3 decades involves sources who have motives.
Those people who had reserved seating might have bloody well turned up.
Every time you do a story, you're making a balancing test between the public
reclaiming
interest.
my time. Thank you very much.
That's actually my time. I could be using this time to make sure a Clinton gets into a position of power. Are there any more Clintons? What about that cat they used to have?
I ask you this because before you became Elon Musk's hand-picked journalist, and pardon the oxymoron,
These people are totally corrupt, totally bought out, and in my experience, very little integrity to be found anywhere in that entire sphere. How dare they?
you stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote,
How can they keep using the phrase spoon-fed when all they want to spoon-feed you is their own propaganda? Hey, get that spoon out of here. Would you like this spoon?
I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you start getting handed things, then you've lost. Do you still believe what you told Mr. Rogan? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good.
Good, because I've got you now. Here's the bit where Hillary Clinton wins. Where democracy wins.
Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me.
This is my time. How dare you? Right on the middle of my time. My time, Hillary!
Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory.
Another right-wing conspiracy theory. Do you mean by right-wing conspiracy theory anything that does not yield to your warped view of centralized authoritarian power? Yeah, that is what I mean. Hold on, let me check with Hillary. Yeah, that is what we mean.
You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it. Before the release of the emails in August of last year, you had 661,000 Twitter followers. After the Twitter files, your followers doubled, and now it's 3 times what it was last August.
I put it to you, you did this for Twitter followers. You're one of those people that lives for Twitter followers. Why can't you be more like us in Congress that accept lobbying money, that are funded by donors, same as the other party, and that own stocks and shares in the companies we regulate, and still don't have enough Twitter followers? It's an assumption to say that that information has been cherry-picked by Elon Musk. We spoke to Taibbi and Shellenberger and Barry Weiss and other Twitter Files journalists, all of whom seem to me to be brilliant people people with deep integrity as journalists. They said that they went through hours and hours and hours and hours of emails. It was like really boring and hard and difficult, like journalism should be. And then they picked the most salient and relevant things without any intervention from Elon Musk or any other person within his organization. And if they are cherry picking, they picked some pretty good cherries, didn't they? Claiming that what Taibbi and Shellenberger and the other great Twitter Files journalists have done is wrong because people like it and need it, almost as if there was a deep craving for truth and integrity. That doesn't mean that they're corrupt. That means that people want the truth.
I imagine your Substack readership, which is a subscription, increased significantly because of the work that you did for Elon Musk. Now, I'm not asking you to put a dollar figure on it, but it's quite obvious that you've profited from the Twitter Files. You hit the jackpot on that Vegas slot machine to which you referred. That's true, isn't it?
I've also reinvested.
You've made some. No.
No, doesn't matter if you're trying to build a business. Doesn't matter if you're trying to live a life. You shouldn't even be making money. You're not allowed any journalism. I bet that's not even your baseball cap you normally wear.
Is it true that you have profited since you were the recipient of the Twitter Files? You've made money. Yes or no?
I think it's probably a wash, honestly.
Nope. You have made money that you did not have before, correct?
No, you made money that you didn't have before. And that's why I win. Because I don't get paid for doing this. I don't even own stocks or shares or anything. I've never been sacked for making sure that Bernie Sanders can't get elected by my own... give me my time!
But I've also spent money that I didn't have before.
You shouldn't even have to answer this. That's not the issue. Now we're here today to see the important issue that America has been wondering about. What, you mean like corruption, this war, whether or not we can trust politicians, whether or not people are exploiting crises to control and limit democracy? Well, yeah, those things, I don't know. I didn't hear the last few. Matt Taibbi, as a percentage, pro rata, how much more money are you getting now than 6 months ago? Dun, 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 dun. Who gives a shit?
I just hired a whole group of people to
Patently
investigate
obvious answer, reclaiming my time.
That's my time. I only borrowed you that time. I'm like a time lord.
Social media companies are not biased against conservatives, and if anything, they ignored their own policies by allowing Trump and other MAGA extremists to post incessant lies, endangering public safety and even our democracy.
Your democracy ain't looking too great on the basis of this. What we're watching right now, never mind referencing things or amplifying things or querying or questioning things, MAGA extremists, this or that. Democracy should mean an open conversation between all of us. It has to mean that. It means trusting people to make decisions for themselves, not relying on censorship. Now that it's been revealed the degree to which the Biden administration has been tampering with social media, all they've got left is, well, shut up you don't deserve that. How much money do you earn? Trump's worse. Is that all you got? Is that what you're offering? Go home.
The FBI makes these requests to help catch the bad guys. That helps keep child predators off social media sites.
Matt Taibbi, I think you want child predators roaming all around social media sites. Well, I actually have a child, so... Shut up!
It helps keep violent criminals off our streets.
May I respond?
The truth is that social media companies...
May I respond? No, this is where I get to say a bunch of stuff so that I know that Hillary Clinton will see me and I will get some presents.
Are unregulated monoliths. They pose danger to individuals. They allow posts that bring harm, and that's the bottom line.
What an ugly spectacle that was. This is Jonathan Turley, Professor of Public Interest Law at the George Washington University. This week, House Democrats savaged 2 journalists who attempted to explain a government effort to censor citizens. How dare you? How dare you try to explain this effort to censor citizens without mentioning Hillary Clinton for over 5 minutes now? Hillary. It was only the latest of a series of hearings in which FBI agents and other whistleblowers, experts and journalists have been personally attacked for raising free speech concerns. As the evidence mounts of an even broader censorship effort by the Biden administration, the Democrats' attacks have become more unhinged and unscrupulous. After shredding any fealty to free speech, they now are attacking journalists, demanding their sources and claiming their reporting is a public threat. That's a return to McCarthyism. That, by the way, is much closer to fascism than saying, hey, why don't we talk to people with differing opinions? That's the opposite of it. That's the way that the kind of compromises and truces required to move forward will be achieved. Let me know in the chat in the comments if you agree. At long last, have you left no sense of decency? Those words were first asked by lawyer Joseph Welch in his confrontation with Senator Joseph McCarthy, representative Wisconsin, during the Senate's infamous Army McCarthy hearings. There is a major difference between today and the McCarthyism of 1954. Back then, when Attorney Welch objected to the Republican senator trashing his client, the press lionized Welch. Yet, as noted by Shellenberger and Taibbi, today's media have remained largely silent as fellow reporters were attacked for covering the Twitter censorship story. If Joseph Welch appeared today to support free speech, he might very well be dismissed as some QAnon conspiracy theorist or Putin lover. But his words from the past that, until this moment, I think I've never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness, should be read to every one of these members. It's not that we expect decorum from our leaders today, but decency itself now seems as irrelevant as reason. Well, that's a pretty terrifying yet deserved condemnation of these congressional hearings and systemic corruption more broadly. What we're engaged in this channel, with you, because let's face it, and this is not rhetoric, without you, we're literally nothing, is an attempt to find new ways of communicating, bypassing the corruption and authoritarianism that seems to have taken hold of both politics and media and financial life and foreign policy. It's everywhere. We are the only thing that can stop it. I mean you more than me. Anybody can make these points. Anybody can have this conversation. All of us need to come together in support of freedom of speech, in particular the freedom of speech of people that we disagree with. We have to learn to find ways of allying, in particular with people that we might disagree with. If you think, oh, this person's really conservative and traditional, I don't agree with them about anything, find something you do agree with them on quick, because if you don't, your life and your future is in the hands of people that, in my view, have no ethics. Now, they're human beings like you or me, and I have an open heart and I'm totally up for forgiveness and redemption. God knows I need it myself. But I believe that their personal details are irrelevant now, that they are nodes within a system that has bypassed their faculty, facility and ability to reason, that they are demonstrating a kind of broad foghorn of authoritarianism that's just blasting its way through them, that they are ciphers, that they're not really there at all, in fact. They are just vehicles of the system. The only thing that can prevent this from getting worse, beautifully, is you. You do have power. Not the power to sort of vote or whatever, or buy a flag, the power to awaken and be free yourself and to treat people differently and to treat yourself differently and recognize that as an awakened human being, you are part of this conversation. That you should support the efforts of Shellenberger and Taibbi. If you are a patriot, if you are a conservative, if you are a liberal, if you are an anarchist, if you are a trans person, if you are a Trump voter, if you are a Biden voter, gay, black, white, Muslim, whatever it is that you see yourself as and however you think the world might see you, you have to engage your humanity right now and look at people that you disagree with and find ways of coming to consensus and into alliance with them, because the old system is dead, the new thing hasn't been born yet, and it can only be born if we find new ways of communicating, finding common unity with one another. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. Have a look at either of these videos if you enjoyed this one. Turn on the notification bell and subscribe right now, because you know what the mainstream wants you watching: more of their dull, spoon-fed crap. More important though than any of that is that you please, if you can, if you dare, stay free.